Welcome to Tidbit Talkin. Here's some ideas about boatloads of entertainment media. Some serious, others not so much. Generally only spoilers for whatever's currently featured, and a bit of vague references to other things in a shared universe. Now with all of that out of the way, here we go. Damaging that tube automatically releases Gray and wakes him up because emergency maintenance would need to get done on both things following crazy break-in action like what's on display here. No matter how risky letting him loose before Albert doesn't need him is, he can't really get truly checked out unless all that conscious behavior hoopla is totally available for prying evil R&D eyes. The alarm took quite long to go off because this place's security was hacked by Prometheus and Pandora so their unwanted master could get totally screwed with. They would have placed the blame for every computer crack and murder-related crime bit on these pursuing hunters after killing this adorably amnesiac android themselves. That other guy likely has a gun like Ash's on him so they can pull off some medium-strength rapid-fire backed up by mighty slowness combo junk if the situation calls for it. The aforementioned data-dunking devious duo also made this giant security mechanoid suck a lot. Helpful Hunter Guy wishes for Gray to join his organization because he believes traveling the world with him could help jog that fuzzy memory if a certain Legion database somehow didn't have info on this cheery new friend of theirs. These struggling cyber soldiers inside these boat test tube featuring airships are pilots that are forced into some sort of adrenaline-mimicking state, which produces faster and overall more impressive, but also far riskier, flying. Bulbous Boss Bot has different weaponry now because it's in airship fighting mode, not the on-foot intruder squashing one. Gray and Ash coexist because of course there are multiple Model A's since the death-fearing Albert just wants that many backups. Hell, there might be one per Model W even. Prometheus and Pandora might have difficulty directly physically killing other Mega Men because of some sort of automatically ceaselessly interfering creator-installed inhibitor program crap. This was seen as especially necessary because all those wacky direct descendants and extra conscious holders present in the Big Bad Plan would be useless to him dead. Pure Yelling activation is one's body's microbiome providing user info for the biometal via airborne cheek cell-filled saliva-contained DNA injection. This kind of feature was likely decided upon early on in their design process. After all, slicing folks open and getting blood or whatever would make the trial stage perhaps a bit too risky. The difference in base transformed abilities is of course because Mr. Game Boy Pocket Screen was tailor-made as that openly evil overlord's backup vessel. His skill set basically represents that guy's custom Dream Bod mods. Anyway, regular Descendant Gal has a precision laser, because she likes to shoot open locks and grab some of that sweetly desired booty. The train had to wreck so Albert could get enough time to set up his grand escape from Legion. Plus, there's possibly somewhat not going on regarding covering tracks over his behavior upon discovering there's not various protagonist-associated info in the world government's all-containing digital library. Different Pseudoroid squadrons were deployed at various locales worldwide based off what absurdly ambitious Al imagined being a hero of old would be like. Gray and Ash's gauntlet was apparently designed for simulating how he himself would fare during classic X-Zero wartime. Serpent shenanigans were manufactured based on schematics he intentionally leaked in order to make more blame takers happen. Speaking of that, the not moving so much Rosespark was tasked with causing this security malfunction once his boss's favorites were near because those other more mobile options had more important jobs supplied to them, like resurrecting garbage or hauling junk with their trunks. Anyway, this Vine Overgrowth plus PC Treble Danger malarkey was inspired by events which occurred during that kooky Ragnarok crisis. The other Destiny game players must be giving collected Model W info to Thomas so he can make something even more powerful later. Also, Albert would arrange certain things happening like that necessary part granting airship crash to make more dramatic battlefields available for his beloved death-filled competition. This atypical checkpoint thingy in the oil field that gives an elemental skill usage concern tutorial must have originally been a Guardian training facility deal meant for helping out all future biomatches when they first get empowered. There's kinda many enemies in this age because Dr. Blatantly Malicious knew if either a Righteous Descendant or Reinforcement Clone got an ability which stops time, they'd be really OP. The apparent variable size of biometals, that's shown by all those W's, and when Thetis juggles Model L, is because they are often holding their power back when equipped by sucky people. Chronoforce's trademark ability doesn't work so well on player pods because Albert himself would have made sure he's immune, so of course his relatives or duplicates can take it. Anyway, paranoia makes the guy really inconsistent on whether or not he wants those two dead or extra strong. These simulated Nature Wrath themed door latches were recently altered for monstrous minion power concerned access ease by that guy as part of his game. Initially, interest in destroying this airship might have arose because it's one formerly used by Prairie's predecessor while she was commanding the Guardians before some raiders snatched it. May have originally held data on the heroic biometal's creation before she abandoned it to get away from some pursuers. Certain nefarious super soldiers would want the thing gone so there'd be no hope of somebody taking their precious stolen equipment away by a user override program or whatever. Incidentally, it's likely even more train repair usable parts could have been salvaged, Had Atlas succeeded in totally wrecking the place, those ciphers being battle-locked is because their crazy creator of course only wants somebody like him, who'd fight other Mega Men for purely sadism-related purposes, and or simply to be the best, knowing all about his wonderful backup plan. Model A and Gray/Ash. Anyway, he doesn't foresee mere self-defense practitioners succeeding in opening them up because he's a delusional idiot. Loosely connected, the two character choices get different other form abilities because their foes change fighting styles based on whether it's a human or Riploid being faced. The old escape unit Rudy over here found is low on power because it relies on a currently basically impossible to find pre-CL system energy source. Sharnak was probably hired by both Albert and Thomas to take the other one out. Maybe murdering Mikhail was on his itinerary too. This guy likely experienced events which de-emotioned him that A's supposed namesake arranged in order to make sure Model P's biomat didn't end up as heroic as Phantom. The guy's so righteous he continued to fight evil even as a data spirit. These secret scheme stuff sections aren't voiced because Albert was simply typing things out since he didn't want to risk anybody overhearing him record them. The other Mega Men must put up junk like that barrier beyond female Fafnir and this blackout situation with Sir Slinky Shadows as a way to hinder each other from starting stalking sessions. Albert didn't memorize which cipher blocked what info, but dude knows that he likes saying his own name a lot. Thus it's basically guaranteed to going down when his identity got revealed. Regular warp checkpoints only getting activated in normal or Model A forms must be because they require facial scans of would-be users to properly register things. The highway patrol bots shown here are extra aggressive due to this world's odd abundance of significant historical moments occurring on these kinds of roads. Being neglected in a bullying kind of manner by fellow humans during early youth times, such as classmates never bothering to remember his name, is what led Tidbits down this criminal Pokemon team resembling world drown seeking path. This mission has a bit higher payout than usual because the super nice Mikhail snuck some of that somewhat overblown city repair budget into your pay. These quarter-sized Model W fragments must have been a normal stature one split into 4 recently in order for the just found chosen ones to have something they could lethally fight each other over. Aeolsa's status as a swordsman must be why he favors that special slash combo over Harpuya's wind electricity mastery. Disabling that feature, which limits biometal usage to Albert DNA having folks, must start a string of scientific breakthrough chain reaction dealies, which eventually culminates in humans and Riploids becoming truly indistinguishable. Considering that people in this universe have had incredible ice powers for centuries, these flamethrowers might not just be for overzealous intruder halting bunk. Rather, they double as a vital emergency thawing system akin to ceiling sprinklers. A lot of this world's security being absolutely devastated by Model F's vertical shooting might have something to do with Fafnir fighting his own allies for fun so much that they just settled on making things that could be replaced quickly and defeated easily so he'd get bored and stop sometimes. Voltron was created as a rock-themed necromancy droid so Albert would have some sweet tunes to listen to in an emergency revival having scenario. There may be additional machines covering different musical genres within the other pseudoroid groups going after various Mega Men and Model Ws worldwide. There are likely multiple entrances into this quarry protected by an absurdly wide array of ability-associated access guards. This hunter's camp location was likely decided by some secret guardians to keep track of the great Model W treasure trove underneath here. The legendary pickaxe might be an old tool used by ancient construction robots who helped bury X's hibernation capsule. There's a relative lack of warp points around these parts because this place just got dug up and Legion hasn't had a security force going through here all that much. Vent/Ale can see the plot-relevant data dump because of Model X's ability to combine with other titanium transformation trinkets. It's basically just instinctively checking out the info to see if it can double merge now, like when dealing with the Z and 4 Neo-Arcadian General ones. That bartender's old-school Riploid cooling system in the fridge must work by charging in cold places. These metal mice menaces don't drop stuff because they never have excess energy or whatever, since their origin machines can't mass-produce any creatures if they don't do just the bare minimum for every single one. Blossom has an eraser chip because Warren wanted to make sure she was extra self-defense having after her mother got killed in that desert. There had to be data about pick player person in that earlier mentioned database briefly because in modern society one can't obtain the materials required for Riploid manufacturing or human enhancement without accessing Legion systems. It's all part of the safety laws put into place to ensure nobody like Sigma or what have you comes about, and that no one makes themselves immortal or whatever. Ugoil doesn't really have trouble talking. He was merely eating something before Model A and Co. came in. These death-disabling reverse security safety lasers must have this ironic function setting so the workers here can trap, kill, and later cook food while they monitor surveillance deals. The data files found here and at the lab aren't normally accessible in these places. They were recently unlocked by Prometheus, Pandora, Grand Ash coming through. They each unwillingly carried a key code to the secret base. The other pieces got activated at the mysterious lab while those rebellious not teens were attempting to destroy all extra Albert bodies upon finding out about them. Also, the twins can't read the data themselves due to an extra programming quirk left by Albert, hence why they gotta follow somebody else to the underwater volcano. A stage-friendly member being necessary for machine manufacturing is why Double P Duo can't just undo their settings and or make their own capsules. The chatty evil mastermind must personally fight every pseudoroid right after they are first created to make sure they're an adequate test for his chosen ones. Prometheus and Pandora are okay with killing Albert at this point in time because stealing that data and studying Gray himself has let them figure out how to fix themselves. Maybe Thomas helped too once he realized they're as flexible as those other Megmen he's secretly employing. Sir, officially a bad guy, chose this secret Model W gathering lab to be stationed at that underwater volcano because he wanted his new history's beginning to be chronicled in a spectacularly dramatic fashion, but also didn't want to lie too much. Calling everybody else the villains is enough falsities for him. Prairie must have put Ben and Ale in charge of the mobile and often attacked Guardian base so she could look for CL disappearance related info in peace. The previous protagonist, Pete, want you to go first because they're not in the mood to do another boss rush right now. Speaking of which, this one likely changes depending on which Chosens make it here. Those fancy crystal doodads must create pseudo-clones on the fly. Albert is disappointed in being attacked by vehicular assault because he expected his selected warriors to have advanced in power enough to get up there with their own innate super abilities. Revived rocking robots rooting for the hero over his new bot and joint supervisor because he knows the latter will never transform into him and perform a tribute concert no matter what, even if he did like the music under certain circumstances. Model Albert's bassist must have been the last of X8's new version Reploids, who eventually named himself after his hero, Dr. Wily, creator of the most powerful battle-focused robot master. He'd make his backup plan much like Axel to mock the inferior prototypes. Related, Fanboy Ruler must have made his godform vulnerable to copy A-Tran's attacks just in case some rival hijacked the true body. Model Z must have stunned these guys by awakening buried instincts of the four Guardians by putting out a similar battle aura to Zero's or some such. Endings are a pain, but all of you are fantastic. See ya.